Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Mechanics. My name is Andy, and today we are taking a look at the 2021 Millennium Falcon Microfighter. Alright, so here it is. This is the 2021 version of the Millennium Falcon Microfighter. It is a 6+ set number 75295. It's 101 pieces, retailing in the US for $9.99, which works out to be a price per piece of about 10 cents. Included in this set, you're going to get a Millennium Falcon and one minifigure, which is Han Solo. Our formula for today's review will be facts, unboxing, minifigures, build, playability, and then my final opinion. So this is actually the third version of the Millennium Falcon Microfighter in a Microfighter set here in Series 8. The first was released in 2014 with a Han Solo minifigure, albeit the hairpiece was different in that release. In 2018, they released another version of the Microfighter. The sensory dish was different, as well as it came with a Chewbacca minifigure. So they've actually revisited this set here in 2021 with a release, and they've gone back to the Han Solo minifigure. And to be honest, I'm actually okay with the frequency of release here. Look, this is an entry-level set for young Star Wars fans, and there are new Star Wars fans coming into the Star Wars universe all the time, and it would really be a shame for them to have to go to eBay or Amazon or something like that to get their hands on the Millennium Falcon toy. So I think it's great that they continue to keep a steady supply of these on the shelf so that new Star Wars fans coming into the universe and into Lego, quite frankly, can enjoy a Millennium Falcon at a nice entry point. And also, you know what, it's a low point or a low cost of entry for parents too, who might want to see how committed their children are to Star Wars long term as being fans. So I'm okay with the frequent releases. Within this box, you're actually going to get one set of instructions and one bag of pieces. Just quickly taking a look at the artwork here. You have a nice action sequence here in the front. They do a good job of highlighting the kind of purpose of a microfighter, and that's the playability of it here with this stud shooter. Looking on the back, we're going to get a closer view of the Millennium Falcon, a little better view of Han Solo. They're going to go ahead and do a good job of showing us the functionality of that stud shooter and how it exactly works. Something I'll go ahead and point out is this is a $10 price point for a microfighter. So for $10, you're getting one microfighter. Traditionally, these have been released for $20, and it's had two microfighters in the set. And that's nice because you can battle against each other, right? You have an opponent to fight as being a microfighter. So just be aware if you're picking this up for somebody as a gift or for yourself, that you're only getting one, which I don't think is a big deal because you know what, there's plenty of things or toys that you can use your imagination to fight against. So it's appropriately priced, $10 for one microfighter. You pay $20 to get two. Jumping into those instructions, obviously there's not a whole lot of complication here. It's a pretty simple build, so we're not going to have a whole lot of pages of instructions. I will say though that it was actually an enjoyable build. It's a solid construction, and it was fun. I did it with my son. He did most of the laborious work, I guess you'd say, of putting it together. But it was a nice, quick and easy build that was enjoyable. I'll flip to the back here, where you get some advertisement for some upcoming sets or sets that were released in 2021. I am still waiting for the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter to come back in stock, please and thank you. But the other page here is kind of cool. They go ahead and kind of preview some of the minifigures you can get, and also they include the set number that you can get these minifigures in. So that's pretty cool. Moving on here to Han Solo himself, the minifigure. From what I understand, the leg print and the torso print, these are unchanged from the 2014 version. Which, you know what, it's fine. This is a good print. It's a nice print. It does its job of representing Han Solo, so there's not really a strong need to change the print there. Where they did make a considerable upgrade is with this hairpiece. If you've seen the 2014 version, which I'll try and show you here on the screen, this is a much better hairpiece to come along with this minifigure. You also are going to get two emotions here. You're going to get the devious kind of cheerful look here on the front, and then you can turn it around and get a more neutral look for Han Solo here. I'll credit Solid Brick Studios, and I'll link his review of this set below. For $10, this is the only way that you can get this particular version of Han Solo in 2021. The other way that you can get this minifigure is in the Mos Eisley Cantina set, which retails for $350. So if you want this minifigure, if you don't have this Han Solo minifigure, you can get your hands on it for $10 versus the $350 that you'd have to shell out for the Mos Eisley Cantina set. Jumping into the build here, like I mentioned before, it was an easy build, but it was an enjoyable build, and the build itself overall it's solid. I mean, it can take a beating and keep on ticking, so to speak, but I will point out a few of the iconic characteristics of the Millennium Falcon from the actual Star Wars films that this microfighter does a good job of capturing, which makes it obviously something that's desirable for somebody who wants to have a microfighter or a Millennium Falcon toy. And I'll start here with the cockpit. This is obviously iconic to the Millennium Falcon, and they capture it here with this printed piece, which is nice. Han Solo sits in this little section here behind this little windshield. It's a 2-stud connection, but actually it does a pretty good job of staying secure. A lot of times I find it's so hard sometimes to keep minifigures secure with a 2-stud connection, especially when they're connected to the back here. Those are the worst in my opinion, but they connect with the 2 in the front, and he sits in there nicely and stays secure. Now looking at the top here, we have these black studs, and what these 4 here in the back represent are the heat vents, which are a definitive characteristic of the Millennium Falcon. But they also included 2 black ones here in the front, which when you remove them, it actually kind of looks nice. Here, I'll try and do that, really quick for you. Of course, I would break the whole thing, right? So when you remove that, it kind of still looks nice. And if you were to look at the actual Millennium Falcon, while the heat vents on the back are black, which is why I'm glad that these studs are black, the dark circles that are shown on the front of the Millennium Falcon, they're actually not black, and they're actually not heat vents. So while I kind of understand why they put these on here to add a little bit more detail, I'm not sure it accurately represents, the Millennium Falcon, which, look, it's a microfighter, so it's not really the total goal of the set, but still, I think it might have been okay to do without these, but it's not a deal breaker to have them in, obviously. Another thing on the top here, which is iconic to the Millennium Falcon, is the sensory dish here, which is nice. The 2018 version was more square, I believe, for the modern look of the Millennium Falcon. This kind of returns to a more traditional look for it, but there's nice articulation, and well, it does actually come off kind of easy, but what do you want for a $10 set? It can easily snap back on and you're good to go. Something I wasn't totally sold on was the airlock here for the escape pods. To me, it felt big for the scale of this Millennium Falcon. Obviously, there's only so much that you can do in a set this size, so I'm okay with it. I think it does what it needs to do. You have to have this characteristic on the Millennium Falcon because it's so identifiable to the Millennium Falcon. So all in all, I think it's a cool piece. It does connect here unique with this kind of pin piece here that you can see, and it just kind of connects into a hole that you have there, which is nice. It just kind of pops in and stays in place. Probably one of my favorite elements to the Microfighter, outside of the stud shooters here on the top, but are these drive units on the back. They connect with these hinge pieces, and that provides good curvature here to the back of the hyperdrive. These translucent blue pieces are nice as well. So I think all in all, this version versus the previous versions just is a nice finish. Now, there is something that my son figured out that I have not, who's 5 years old, by the way, that I have not seen any other, person point out here on this set. Now, I don't know if it was intended to be this way, but if you open this up, you can actually store a stud. Here, I'll show you real quick if I can do this without losing the stud. You can actually drop the stud in there and close this, and now you've got a stud here, and 2 on the top. So you can actually carry 4 on board. So you are loaded and dangerous and ready to go. So you can fire off 2 from the top and reload from your pieces in the back. And so that will bring me to the final part, or the final piece here to the build, is the playability here with your stud shooters or your laser blasters or whatever you want to call them. They are nice. They do a good job of firing off there. They're spring loaded or pressure loaded, and they can travel a good distance. So the playability there is pretty excellent. I actually think I lost that one stud that I shot, so we'll be down a stud here as we go. But these really pack a little bit of a punch there. The playability is awesome. We'll go ahead and I guess fast forward here to the playability of the Millennium Falcon Microfighter. All right, I've decided to find that stud so we can continue on with the playability portion of the review. The set has good swooshability, right? So it's a good set to play with and kind of fight. You have awesome shooting capability here with the stud shooters. You can store 2 in the back and reload. You have nice articulation here with your sensory dish, and Han Solo comes off and is reseated pretty easily there and stays pretty secure with those front 2 studs that connect him. So all in all, the playability of this is good, and my son still enjoys to pick this up and play with it, and he's 5 years old, so it's a good set with good playability. All right, so what are my final thoughts on the 2021 Millennium Falcon Microfighter? Well, for collectors, obviously, if you're collecting microfighters, or if you're just a fan of Star Wars Legos, you're probably going to pick this up. It's inexpensive. It's probably the best version to date of the Millennium Falcon, so it's a nice little collectible. If you are looking for the playability of this set, obviously this is a great entry level set here for new Star Wars Lego fans to pick up and get their hands on a Millennium Falcon. So all in all, I think it's an excellent Microfighter. I think it's an excellent addition to any collection or toy bin. I just think it's nicely done. All right, well, if you've made it this far, I wanted to thank you for watching. This was actually my very first review video, so I hope I did well. If you thought so, give it a like. Also, if you want to see and maybe grow with this channel as it evolves and gets better, hit the subscribe button. That's the best way to support the channel and me as well, so that would be greatly appreciated. And you can always turn on those notifications to be notified of when a new upload is uploaded. And I do plan on doing more videos like this where we jump into and review some of these Lego sets. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.